So we built native support for transaction fee sponsoring, so that every game can take and hide the blockchain under the hood, so that what we've seen with NBA Top Shots can be used in any game where people are actually playing a game, where they're sending emoticons. That can be free. That doesn't have that doesn't need to have a transaction fee associated with it. Users, we have maybe 10, 20 million crypto people in the world, but we have billions of gamers. So let's address those billions first, okay?
Super welcome. We're live with Reinventing NFTs with Polkadot. And we have with us three great builders in the Polkadot ecosystem around NFTs. And I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself in just a bit. Or, well, no, let's just start off with that. So, yeah, I'm going to ask you for a 1-ish minute intro. Who are you? What are you building in the Polkadot ecosystem? Starting off with Ray.
Hey, thanks, Aaron. Hey, Bruno. Hey, Alex. Hey, everyone. I'm Ray. I'm a co-founder of Bit.Country. Bit.Country enable everyone to start their own metaverse with the games. So we are more focused on the gaming side. We also have something like a social token and a DAO. So we particularly attract to those influencers and the community owners. They want to use Bit.Country to manage the fans, bring their engagement to a new level, especially to Web 3.0. So far, we finished our Web 3 grants, doing the second round, complete our seed raise, busy building our testnet. So the testnet will be launched actually just next week with some internal users only. Of course, a lot of work needs to be done. We look at going live in the first quarter next year. Our team mostly based in New Zealand. We have some members in UK and San Francisco. On the other hand, we also run the Substrate Academy with Arcala for the Polkadot ecosystem. So we train about over 100 Substrate developers every quarter. So that's in a nutshell about us. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Ray. Bit.Country. You'll hear more about it. Bruno, let us know.
Yeah, hi.
What are you building?
We are RMRK. We are building software that will enable seamless teleportation of non-fungible assets across every parachain that supports this type of standard. And we've also upgraded the NFT paradigm to support nested NFTs, multi-resource NFTs, and a lot of other fun stuff that NFTs have never been able to do before. My personal history is with Ethereum 2.0 for a while back in the day, then at the Web3 Foundation doing technical education, and RMRK from this year onward.
Awesome, thanks. That was a whole mouthful on what you're doing. I admire your ability to say all those words after each other, but we'll get into that. Yeah, so Alexander, were you really building?
Yeah, I'm trying to, when I talk about Polkadot ecosystem, I always try to talk about other projects and specifically what Bruno is doing, and it's always a mouthful because it's all big words. But anyway, I'm Alexander. I created the team that created a unique network, which is the NFT chain for Polkadot and Kusama ecosystems. It is just as Substrate is third-generation blockchain. Our unique network is the next generation NFT chain that will be give the next generation infrastructure for these kinds of NFTs that are alive, that are moving around, that are doing things, playing games, real games, and doing all those things.
Cool, thanks. So we have, I don't know how the sequence is on your screen, but for me it's Bit.Country, RMRK, and unique network.
It's actually the other way around.
All crossed out. Yeah. So that's not consistent. Yeah, all builds on Polkadot, and I guess NFTs, of course, we've seen a huge boom recently, huge growth in usage of the methods to build tokens, to sell tokens, to build functionality around those non-fungible tokens. But if you look at like what do those NFTs actually do, how are they constructed? I heard someone earlier today, I think it was Andrew, he's saying, well, we're basically selling overpriced JPEGs or buying overpriced JPEGs. In some cases, you could argue that is the case. It's just an image, it's some metadata, and yes, there's an on-chain reference, but that's it. But there's so much more possible because you have like on-chain programmability. Now, we all know that the more heavy use chains that live for a longer time have quite a limited capability to actually use that because of cost and all other things. With the Polkadot ecosystem, there's this green field almost, taking, like you say, third generation blockchain, taking all of those learnings from other blockchains and building a more scalable way to build on-chain logic and interchain communication, especially within the Polkadot ecosystem, of course. So yeah, really excited to dive deeper into what kinds of NFTs and what kind of NFT applications can be possible in such a world. I'm just gonna briefly pause before that because, like Anna mentioned briefly on the previous panel, and like you can see down here, at Outlier we've always been a multi-chain. We've always had a multi-blockchain view to the world, and you can probably see that in the teams and that we work with and the investment that we've made over time. And we're very excited about the launch of Polkadot and everything developing there. So much so that we are now happy to unveil something that's been long in the works, which is the Polkadot Basecamp Accelerator. So a dedicated accelerator program for people, teams building things in Polkadot ecosystem. So press that CTA and learn more, but do stick around, of course, for this exciting discussion. Bruno, when we had a brief prep call for this panel, you mentioned what you guys had done around, I think it was Canaria, like the way you broke Kusama twice. That is an awesome feat. Can you tell the audience a bit more about that and the numbers? And for the uninitiated, Kusama is what is called the canary net for Polkadot. So it's a live network, a main network, where it's a move fast and break things. Whereas Polkadot, the religion, is a more move slowly and let's make sure this stuff really works. Yeah, with that intro, what did you guys do there?
Yeah, so one of the innovations that we pushed out is on-chain emoting, where you can basically send an emote like you would in a social media message or a messenger service, but to any NFT. And this lets you, this adds some cool social mechanics to the game, like just generally any UI, any app integrating the RMRK standard will automatically support these emotes. And so it's kind of like cross-platform emoting on people's art. This is not only fun, but it's also a great price discovery method where you can actually find out that an NFT is more worth than like an almost identical copy of it, purely by the emotions that it's evoking in people and the emotes that they're sending in. What we did there was we ran a contest. We used the emote feature in two ways. One was that during our initial collectible offering, when we were selling our NFTs, people could send in emotes to digital eggs, and these emotes would affect the bird that would hatch from these eggs. And this was a very popular feature, with people sending in tens of thousands of emotes to influence the look and feel and functionality of their bird. The other one was a top emoted contest, where 40 of the most emoted eggs would get secondary art, so fancy commissioned art from artists that would go through an additional art contest, yada yada, and end up with some like high-profile art as a result. And both of these put together resulted in users sending in more than 1.5 million emotes in total over the span of like a month and something. Each of these was a separate transaction on the Kusama network. Needless to say, on Ethereum, where a single interaction with an NFT of any type is $0.50 on a good day, that's like a sub 20 gwei day, this would cost many hundreds of thousands of dollars. But here it was like maybe $2,000 in total cost for the entire 1.5 million, I think, if we only take into account when the price reduction happened in Kusama with the runtime upgrade. However, this was so popular that it actually broke Kusama twice. So we had so many transactions in the queue that nodes started failing because they couldn't clear their transaction queue fast enough. And so a fix was issued for that. And then we did it again a few weeks later when 2 parachains actually stopped producing blocks because they couldn't handle the now oversized blocks that were processed by Kusama, their parent relay chain. So this is a fun experiment in scaling, and very similar to the early days of NFTs on Ethereum, where CryptoKitties kind of broke Ethereum with popularity. So you could say that Kusama just went through its own, like beneficial DDoS phase or CryptoKitties phase in its growth cycle.
Yeah, that's amazing. So it's like, just to unpack that, you had 1.5 million on-chain transactions that like influenced how certain NFTs came to be. Is that right?
Yes.
Emails were taken into.
Yeah, they influenced future functionality of newly minted NFTs that would be the result of these interactions, yes. Yeah.
So it's like I guess we've seen, some level of interaction with people around NFT systems, which then usually would be people interact with the Web2 system, which is highly scalable, and then on the back end you have NFTs being minted. And yes, there's some on-chain functionality, but like this is really impressive. And it also, on the other hand, shows what canary net means in practice. Yes, it can break, but then it stands up quickly, hopefully, and more resilient. Yeah, very cool. And so a question for you, Ray. Like those NFTs, they're advanced. They can be minted. They can be created. Can people use them in their Bit.Country or in a Bit.Country, or and what would that look like?
Yeah, so our use case of NFT, firstly, we want to support all the popular standards. We already talked to these 2 gentlemen in the past. It's all about, how can we make use of NFT inside our metaverses and the games. Firstly, the NFTs, you mint it elsewhere, if we open the protocol, allow the transfer, they can arrive here, and then people can place them in a 3D world, and also use as a game, use as prizes if people winning certain games. Of course, blockchain-based game, because that's more fair rather than, because in the gaming world, the challenge is there are a lot of bots. Yeah, so the NFT protocol will be interoperable, and also we're building bridges, work with the other blockchain as well. That's outside of the substrate in Polkadot Kusama ecosystem. Yeah, I'll give you one example of NFT. NFT can be used as if you win the prize, that's used as a key to another stage of the game, or have a certain privilege to have a higher level of access. So yeah, so NFT has become the digital goods in our project on our network. We're talking like a currency right nowadays. So anything else that we want them to openly trade it, we'll turn it into NFT, such as we want to create a new asset class called the Bit.Country itself. Itself contains a map, land, and virtual world and community. Hopefully that in the future, other platform recognize as a new asset class can be listed as a separate category. So, but yeah, NFT as digital goods and items are a big part of that, big substance of the supporting the value of that Bit.Country.
Great, thanks, Alexander. I want to switch to you for a bit. Like what kinds of we heard some pretty advanced capabilities of NFTs, or how that can be used to create NFTs. What kinds of capabilities have you seen that lack in current mostly used systems and standards, and are you building and including in the functionality of unique network? And yeah, ideally, if you have some concrete examples, that'd be great for people to understand how that comes to be.
Sure. Thanks, Aron. So the way I like to say things about the current state of NFTs is that we are in Web 1 era. We are like in a place back in 1999 or 2000, when you can sell the books and that's it with the internet. In NFTs, you can mint a file, you can sell the file, and pretty much that's it. And what the power of Substrate, the technology that Polkadot is built on and all of us work on, is in its flexibility. So you can do a lot of things, a lot of different ways, and hack it or kind of build new infrastructure that can really provide the next generation of infrastructure, which is needed. So, NFTs are representation of unique assets. You have to have a lot of customization on that to make them really live. Just like we had Web 2 come in and enable things that we have today on the internet. Facebook wouldn't be possible on Web 1. Today, you cannot have games like, and metaverse is like what Ray's building on Ethereum. You just cannot. You need much more flexibility. So we use that flexibility already to build in some things, and I can go on for a long time talking about it, but let me mention just first what we did. The first barrier to NFTs becoming something really kind of live is the fact that the implementations, Ethereum and everybody else, is very opinionated and tells you every user that comes in has to pay for every transaction fee they come on, when they want to do something on blockchain. It's all nice because techies kind of figure out that's the only way to prevent the spamming of the network. Okay, we've seen, with Bruno's example, when the transactions are cheap, what can happen, but you can actually prevent the spam many different ways, and you can starting by creating a scalable technology, which these guys are doing, but also, you can. Games are very good at managing their users. So we built native support for transaction fee sponsoring, so that every game can take and hide the blockchain under the hood, so that what we've seen with NBA Top Shots can be used in any game where people are actually playing a game, where they're sending emoticons. That can be free. That doesn't have that doesn't need to have a transaction fee associated with it. The users, we have maybe 10, 20 million crypto people in the world, but we have billions of gamers. So let's address those billions first, okay? So that native sponsoring of transaction fees is something very, very powerful for people, for creatives to appeal to, first of all, to creatives who don't know stuff about blockchain, and to mass audiences who will use that. They will all, just like in NBA Top Shots, all the buyers, they know they're buying an NFT, but they're not seeing that. They're not kind of worrying about it, right? So, that's kind of the killer feature number one. There's 4 or 5 we already did, and there's like long line of things we plan to do over the next year or two.
Great, thanks. Yeah, so that's really opens up using NFTs and certain NFT use cases, which would theoretically be possible, now become practically possible because that barrier is taken away of every of those billion users having a wallet, having that all set up, and having some token in their wallet to start off with. You can start off without any of that. Well, you need a wallet, probably something that interacts with the system, but you can then go on to sort of dive deeper into the rabbit hole of self-sovereign, holding your assets in a self-sovereign way, or just go about and use your emoji or your lightweight interactions with the system, and still have a full and on-chain experience. On the note of on-chain, what we've seen with the Web 1.0 generation of NFTs, as you called it, so the sort of the first wave of NFTs, is that often a large part of what is the actual NFT doesn't live on the blockchain itself. because of limited capacity, limited storage, limited availability of decentralized storage systems. How does that play out in I guess in the Polkadot ecosystem in general? What possibilities are there? Are you seeing to make NFTs more on-chain or fully on-chain, and even their relationships be on-chain, or their future value streams? And within your own projects and technologies, what are some things that you're doing to enable a more off-chain experience? And I'll leave it open who wants to go first. Otherwise, I'll point to either of you. Hey, yeah, there we go, Bruno.
Okay. So right now with RMRK 1.0, we're using IPFS, like most decentralized NFT storage systems do. We pin the images for the users and the resources, and if they upload a movie or a song or whatever else, or a PDF, we pin it for them. We also pin it to our own node, and we pin it to Pinata as a commercial service. However, this does leave it to chance that if like it becomes unpinned everywhere and nobody has looked at it for a while, it disappears. I'm of the opinion that art that isn't looked at for a very long time is not art at all, and it's not art worth keeping around. So it's not that big of a shame if it disappears. But RMRK 2.0 allows more resilience and more fallbacks, in that since we have multi-resource NFTs that allow you to have different resources for the same thing. So for example, I can mint an ebook, and that ebook can have an audio file as a resource, a PDF file as a resource, and a high resolution cover as as a resource. And depending on the context in which you load it, that resource gets loaded. If I load that NFT into Audible, it plays. If I load it into Singular, which is our marketplace, you get to read it because we have the PDF reader built in. And if you load it into OpenSea, then you see the high resolution cover, so you can trade it. But this can be used in different ways as well. So for example, you can have one resource that is actually an image. Let's say that we're talking about an NFT that's a digital image, an expensive JPEG. And so this image can have one resource that's on IPFS, one resource that's on Arweave, one resource that's on SiaCoin, one resource that's on Filecoin, and whatever else other network exists out there. And so now you have 4 fallback resources of the same thing on the same NFT. And so now you can just flip through them. If one of them dies, you have the other ones as a backup. And this is natively supported with all multi-resource NFTs on RMRK. So this is kind of like, we are putting it in the user's hands. We don't want to take up too much responsibility here. Like right now, we are pinning everything, and everything's in our hands. We make sure there's longevity there. But if we go to a team retreat and our bus falls off a cliff, your NFTs will disappear in 3 months. So with these fallbacks and everything that we're adding with RMRK 2.0, people will have it in their own hands. It's their responsibility, but it's made much easier.
Great. Well, I hope that your next team retreat will be a bit more fortuitous than that. But just in case, that's very good to hear. But yeah, it's an interesting approach to, firstly, of course, multi-assets. Assets according to context. If you're in an audio environment, it's audio. If you're in a 3D environment, it's 3D. But even using that to make it redundant over multiple storage backends, that's a really great approach. I want to focus a bit more on gaming. I think within Bit.Country, that's one area of focus. Maybe there are some things that you can say from the top end on types of gaming use cases that are being built or that you're building for. Then we can dive a bit deeper on that.
So we have 2 contexts of gaming inside Bit.Country. Because currently the Metaverse project, a part of virtual world, people can build in there, they need some souls inside that world, right? And we think games can be the content, that's engaging the users. At a global network level, we're creating a play-to-earn economy model for a main kind of a game. The main game mode allow people to mining for resources, using the resources to build on top of the land inside the virtual world. And then, of course, people want to save their time. They don't want to mine the resources, which is time consuming, right? Of course, we also create an anti-bot system that bot is disincentivized to mine the resources. Basically, they don't want to have multiple accounts either. And then they create the economy that you sell your resources to the developer. The developer can just buy the resource by saving time and build on the land, and then adding value to the land, because they can treat that as an NFT in the future on other platforms. Either any NFT platforms that we support, standard we support. The other game mode is that we are currently building a plugin architecture. That's a new uncharted area that we tap into, allowing users to create games using assembly script, WebAssembly, both on the client side and the server side, so that each big country on the land, they can create their own game using our API and deploy it to the land. So people, for example, you walk into like a store that's selling eggs, or something that they can create a game, or they can do something with the egg. I mean, it's up to the user to do that. Of course, the apps, the stuff that we'll load inside our main app, those scripts need to be audited. We want to use governance feature to audit that, and also our technical committee should get involved to see that. And also we want to create an economy model that is to encourage people to do bad things with their app, with their game mode. Yeah, so in summary, we have a main game mode plus the user created the game mode. So that we feel that it could be very interesting to adding more content and activities to the metaverse, and also allow our partners, friends, to encourage them to bring the NFTs minted from their network and use that for their community or for their customer. So our target customer are end users. We serve end users, but at the same time, our stakeholders are the community owners or project owners. So people who have a community. So we created functions to support them. That's why we come out with 2 game modes.
Great, thanks. And Alexander, for you, like what's gaming related functionality do you envision or do you see being built on a unique network? And I guess what you mentioned, the sponsoring of transactions, I guess that would be really an enabler. And yeah, what other things do you see there?
Well, yes. So our first mission is to create freemium gaming on blockchain. Okay, so 90% or something like that, 80% of gaming industry, so a few $100 billion is based on freemium economic model, and blockchains do not allow that. We do. So that's our first mission, to allow freemium gaming to happen on a large scale in the blockchain space. We do have a bunch of other things that gaming studios will understand. So things like scheduling, for example. In Ethereum, you cannot do that. Like you cannot, have a user say, I want this to happen and I want it to happen then. Bruno's X, they cannot hatch on, on Ethereum on a certain time in the future. In Substrate, you can, and we allow that for NFTs. For gaming, that's kind of a no-brainer. Things like so NFTs, a big part of gaming industry, again, a couple of $100 billion, is gaming studios making these in-game items and selling them, right? But they're not selling them, they're leasing them, they're licensing them, and you're stuck with them. You use them a little bit, 5 minutes or half a year, and that's it. What blockchain intends to do is create completely new economic structure, right? Because you become an owner of that in-game item, and you can move it around. No surprise there that big gaming studios are still pretty shy about breaking their existing business model. But we are seeing, we are starting to see big ones getting interested, and because they know that this disruption will change a lot of things and will create just simply new space for everybody. So in that, you need, some creativity in order and flexibility how you manage the NFT assets. So one of the things we implemented, for example, is separation of powers. So you take administration rights to a collection and ownership as separate items. And when you create a game, you can create rules what administrators can do and what owners can do. Owners can be players, and administrators can be the gaming studio that makes the game. It kind of creates a kind of a bridge where it's not like either or. It's either the gaming studio that makes all the money, or it's the users who make all the money. It's kind of gives the bridge in between, because you can play with those administrative rights. You can say, okay, you can own the thing, but you cannot, I don't know, if you sell it, you have to pay 10% to us, or things like that.
Great, thanks. So yeah, great mission, enabling freemium gaming on blockchain, and like reinventing NFTs with Polkadot. That's really something that Polkadot enables for you, correct? And we're heading towards the end of the time for our panel. So I'm gonna ask Bruno for any closing remarks. And while he does that, could you all please type in the chat how you want people to reach you, where you want people to find you, so yeah, people can dive deeper into what each of you are building. But yeah, Bruno, if maybe there's something around gaming with Remark, maybe something else. But if there's something you want to leave our audience with.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a lifelong gamer. I'm big on VR, and I'm really excited about the NFT future that we're building here that will like augment this whole experience. One of the things I'm most excited about is forward-compatible NFTs that we're building, which means that you mint an NFT at one point in time without being aware of a future upcoming NFT project, and your past NFT can become compatible with it in terms of being a wearable item in it or a usable item in it and something like that. This is described in some of the links I shared in the chat. You're free to check those out. But I would be happy to take you through the basics of all of this and show you some of the 2.0 functionality that's coming, including equipped NFTs and multi-resource NFTs tomorrow in a crowdcast that we have, and a link I'll share in the chat. And if you want to get in touch and explore this whole space, I encourage you to follow us on Twitter. It's just Remark app, all together, all lowercase. Same thing on Telegram, and just get in touch, ask questions, suggest awesome projects, and we can explore the universe together. I'll drop some links in the chat. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks. Great. Ray, any final words to leave our audience with, or where they can find you? It's Bit.Country, right?
Yeah, Bit.Country. I'll tap the link here. Yeah, firstly, thanks for the invitation, to work with our friends from Polkadot. Thanks, Aron. I put the link here, every details on the website. People can join for the early access. We do that by invitation to test out our alpha system. And we have a active campaign running on the testnet. Either it's a collator node operator campaign, or using join our blind box campaign. So we had probably around 20,000 people participated. Some people lucky they got some prizes, some not. But we continue to push out new kind of campaigns, until we launch our mainnet. So yeah, everything will be published on the website. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks a lot. And any final words, Alexander?
Well, if there are creators here, then please reach out. We are our mission is to inspire innovation in the NFT space. Anything from what we heard earlier today. Ouroboros, for example, is a great example of projects that are really innovating in the space and kind of making NFTs live. The NFT space is up for a very, very big growth, not just financially, that's the least part of what's exciting, but of becoming alive. So, and for that, we need a lot of creative people to do together. So please reach out. We'll be happy to support you any way we can, and we can a lot. So happy to talk with anybody. And that's it. Thanks a lot, everybody. Always a pleasure to be in the same room with you guys. This is an awesome party. Thanks a lot again.
Great. Thanks a lot, Alexander, for Unique Network, Ray, Bit.Country, Bruno, Remark.